Nigeria has been subsidizing fuel since the 1970s, to ensure that the citizens buy petroleum products below the global price. Now, according to a latest report from the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, the amount spent on subsidizing petroleum products, premium motor spirit in particular, PMS, popularly called petrol, between January and October of this year, 2021, stands at 1.03 trillion naira, leading to a total of 199 billion naira for the payment of subsidy in December. In the report, the oil firm referred to its subsidy spending as under recovery, as it had repeatedly stated that it had no authorization by the National Assembly to pay subsidy. Well, it will interest you to know that for about 4 years running, the NNPC has remained the sole importer of petrol into the country, as all the marketers stopped importing the commodity due to an inability to adequately access dollars, foreign exchange, hence the need for government to remove subsidy by February next year. Well, joining me now live to discuss this and more other issues on the oil and gas industry, I have Noel Okodi. She's an energy analyst with Stirs Business. I hope I got the name right this time, Noel.
Yes, you did. Thank you, Philip.
All right, good afternoon. It's good to see you. Now, 1.03 trillion naira. Well, indeed, that is a lot. How do I start this? Noel, let's do an overview. How did we get here?
Well, we got here by implementing policies that were, I wouldn't say short-sighted, but maybe it started with the best intentions to protect Nigerian consumers, and since we're an oil-producing country, to give Nigerian citizens some sort of incentive or like a benefit or palliative. But the truth is, Nigeria can't afford it right now, and as oil prices continue to increase, and it doesn't help that our oil revenues are going down because we're not producing as much as we should. So you're seeing a situation where oil prices are increasing, Nigeria's oil revenues, even though they should be increasing because oil prices are increasing, but because our production quantities are reducing, so our revenues are reducing. So we're earning less and then spending more on under recovery or subsidies, which we call them. So that's actually how we got here in a nutshell.
Funny enough, even the local or the national oil company now is saying that they can't even say they are paying subsidy. They are calling it under recovery because there is no authorization from the National Assembly to actually pay these monies. So are we not doing something? Because many said when the PIA came on board, subsidy is supposed to be by the way. But we're still doing this. So what are we really doing? Are we robbing Peter to pay Paul? Where do we really stand with all of this?
Okay, so removing the subsidy, first of all, is not just an easy issue
at all.
Like that. It's not something that can just be done because it's something that Nigerians have gotten used to. A lot of Nigerians see it as the only benefit of being Nigerian, and taking it away is not going to be a popular decision. So even with the PIA, even though the PIA says that the marketing and selling and buying of petrol should now be market-based and market price, I didn't expect it to be instant because there's a lot of lobbying and talking between the NLC and other stakeholders and even like the entire country, just so that we're on the same page. And it's even obvious in the way the government has announced that they're going to do it from next year. They said that they're going to pay benefits to the poorest Nigerians worth, I think, 5,000 naira per month over 12 months. So it just shows that removing subsidies is great for the country, definitely. But on the other hand, it's not such an easy decision, especially when Nigerians are probably the poorest they've ever been. And the situation in the country is just, like you were saying when you were giving your news briefing, food inflation is high, is like double digits right now. And every 5 years, the value of the naira just cuts in half. It's not a great time to be removing benefits that Nigerian citizens are enjoying. And also removing the subsidies will also lead to an increase in inflation and food prices as well, because like petrol fuels our transportation, so food transportation, even transportation of people, and removing that will just be an addition to the cost of food. So I can see why the government didn't just implement the removal of subsidies right after implementing the PIA.
Very understandable. I was reading through, and an analyst was saying today that if this happens, we could see inflation jumping as high as 3% more than what we have at the moment. Now, Noel, let me ask you this question, Noel. As an importer or as a player in the sector, it's really not impressive or attractive to import petroleum products at the moment. So because of this reason, NNPC is the sole importer of PMS. How soon do you see this breaking out? Do you see marketers coming in to do business anytime soon?
Well, right now, NNPC is the only importer of petrol or fuel. So and the marketers, they actually benefit because, so the NNPC actually pays them the difference between the price and the actual market price, so they are not losing. But when this subsidy is removed and importers now have to import their fuel, I don't know if if license will be granted to them immediately, or how the midstream and downstream regulatory commission is going to handle that. But that depends on them, on the regulatory authorities, and how they want the market to be run.
Very big one there, because before now I knew that there were some outstanding payments even on this same subsidy issue actually met by this administration. Is being on ground even before now that it tried to resolve. I don't think all of these have been cleared, so I don't even see how the marketers will want to put in more investments into the sector. How can we make this sector more opened and allow market forces determine the price? How can we do this without, hurting any of the players?
Well, the first thing to determining the actual market price is removing the subsidy. So that's a good first step. After that, then we can know, like right now, we don't even know how much petrol Nigeria actually consumes as a country, because we have a lot of foreign smuggling and illegal transportation from neighboring countries where petrol is as high as 400 to 500 naira right now because of surging oil prices. So removing the subsidies is a great first step to actually determining, number one, the quantity of petrol that Nigeria actually consumes and how much the price will even be. So, like I said before, countries like Togo, Benin Republic, Chad, even Ghana, their petrol prices are, depending on the exchange rate, about 360 naira to as high as 500 naira, depends on the exchange rate. But so yeah, Nigeria could start to see prices like that. But like I said, removing the subsidies is the first step and the most important step to determining what the price is.
Let's look at, even the governors at this time are in tune. The governors want the subsidy removed. I even heard them at a meeting saying that fuel will sell for as much as 345 naira because they see that one way or the other, money coming from FAC will reduce one way or the other. And the NNPC has been saying that, no, we are not going to continue to do this. So why do you think the governors are supporting this at this time? Let me ask that way.
Why they're supporting removal of the subsidy?
Yes, at this moment. Because at the time, they were also saying that it would affect the people.
Yes. So I think that anyone that understands the situation that Nigeria is in would see reason why the subsidy has to be removed. So we're taking a lot of loans. About 98% of our revenue goes towards debt servicing, and for international organizations like the IMF and the World Bank that may want to give us loans or may want to support us in one way or another, when you see that a country is losing as much as 1 trillion naira a year just to give subsidies to people when we could be making more impactful development projects like providing education, infrastructure, roads, healthcare, and instead of that, we're giving people cheap petrol. Like when you weigh the two options, you can see why anybody would prefer removing the subsidy to using those funds for the right purpose. But also, on the other hand, when you also look at Nigeria and the low level of trust between the people and the government, just the fact that there's no assurance that these saved under recovery funds will actually be used for their intended purpose, or that the lives of Nigerians will actually get better after subsidies are removed. So you can see both sides, but I see why the governors would want the subsidy to be removed.
Some are also against, because one way or the other, is also, we're talking deregulation here, and an import-driven deregulation. Many say this would affect us because of our currency and all of that. And that brings my thoughts to refining. What do you think about refining? We seem to just be waiting for Dangote refinery and nothing is happening. Yes, we know something is happening with the Port Harcourt refinery. We don't know how that is faring at the moment. But what do you think about our refining capacity?
So, one thing about our refining capacity is that if Nigeria had local refineries, it would help with it will make sure that it would help with Nigeria stopping like importing petrol, but it wouldn't necessarily make petrol cheaper for people. So I think that's something that we tend to think will happen. But so refiners can either get petrol from get crude oil for refining from the NNPC, or they could even import from other countries depending on the price that NNPC offers them. So if that happens, then they refine their petrol. They could even decide to start selling to other countries when like Dangote could decide to sell his petrol to other countries if the Nigerian price is not good enough. So when these refineries come on, when especially Dangote, which is a private company, and he will want to earn his money back, the issue of subsidy will have to be removed, or else it will just mean that we'll continue giving subsidies. So either the subsidy is removed, or we just keep the subsidy in place, and that's not sustainable. So all this is just to say that refineries are great. Like if they come in, then we can stop importing fuel. That saves our foreign exchange. That helps us stop spending as much forex and saving more forex. But at the same time, it's not going to make petrol cheaper for people automatically.
Let's almost wrapping up this segment of discussion now. Let's go back to the issue of the Petroleum Industry Act, which is supposed to open up the industry according to what we've learned and read about. Legal framework, governance, host community issues, and all of that. With all of this challenges that we have, because I see these as challenges regarding implementation, if we are yet to streamline issues around subsidy, around all of this. When do you think the positives of the PIA will start to trickle in for Nigeria? We've talked a lot about this, saying it would impact, it will create jobs, impact the sector and all of that. But with all of these challenges, how soon do you see this happening?
Well, we're already seeing the implementation of the PIA, to be fair to the government. So we've heard that the NNPC is in the process of being restructured to a private company. So some of their top executives have been laid off. And the Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR, is no more, according to the PIA. We now have the Upstream Regulatory Commission and the Midstream and Downstream Regulatory Authority. So, and that's what the PIA says. But the host community fund, I don't think that's just going to be, like, there might be moves that are being made, maybe they haven't been made public, because even the Upstream and Downstream Regulatory Commission, how I found out was that I went to DPR's website to find some data, and I found that it wasn't DPR anymore. It was now Upstream Regulatory Commission. So I think that the government is serious about implementing the PIA, and this is just because if we don't implement the PIA, we're not going to see as much investment into our oil and gas sector, and that's something that we need more than ever because our oil revenues are dropping steadily by the month. And we've also seen companies like Shell, ExxonMobil divesting their interest in onshore assets in Nigeria. So I think that we're going to see speedy implementation of the PIA just because we need as much investment from. We need as much foreign investment as possible.
A brilliant submission there. Noel, before I let you go, let's wrap up with the crude oil market. Omicron is here and we see what's happening everywhere. Are you thinking that this would affect this market that has been a little bit steady for some time?
Well, I wouldn't say the oil market has been steady. It's just that oil prices have been rising, but that's not even a permanent event. So it's been rising because oil producing countries, especially OPEC countries, haven't increased their supply to pre-pandemic levels, but demand has increased to pre-pandemic levels. So we're seeing a mismatch between demand and supply, and that's what's like driving the price up. Then Omicron hit, and because at first, like with all the fear and all the speculation, it was assumed that Omicron was going to be like a deadly variant. But now, information from the WHO is saying that it's not as deadly as we thought. Like, it's just, I wouldn't say normal variant, but it just is like it's only less deadly than the Delta variant. So if that's true, then we could see oil prices continue to rise. So when Omicron, the news of Omicron hit, we saw oil prices dip, but now they started rising again now that we've seen that it's actually not a threat. So until the threat of COVID, I don't know when, I can't say when COVID is going to like go away, but when the world, I guess, gets back to normal and then vaccinations are more widespread, we could see demand, we could see supply, we could see oil producing countries get more comfortable with increasing supply, because the issue right now is what if they increase supply and then another variant hits and we go back into lockdown. So that's just something that oil producing countries are skeptical about and just watching to see what happens.
Noel Okode is an energy analyst at Stirs Business. Thank you very much for making sense of this very important topic on the show today. We really appreciate the time and do enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Have a good day.